Hello everyone, welcome you all in a video lecture series related to heat and mass transfer. We are dealing with heat exchanger chapter. In the previous lecture, we understand how to solve the problems related to heat exchanger by using LMTD method. Now, in this particular lecture, we are going to understand what is meant by correction factor for multipass arrangement and effectiveness and NTU method to solve the problems related to heat exchanger or to design the heat exchanger. So first point is correction factors for multipass arrangement. So first of all, we need to understand what is meant by correction. If anything having some lacuna and we want that in a right manner, by correcting that particular lacuna, that is nothing but a correction. Okay, so here the correction factor is very important in case of a multipass arrangement. Why? Because up till now we learn the LMTD method applicable to single pass heat exchanger. That is nothing but what? The cold and hot fluids are flowing in one direction only. Okay, so that is nothing but the single pass arrangement is there. But in case of a shell and tube heat exchangers, there are multiple passes of a tube fluid inside the shell. Okay, so in that case the expression, that is nothing but theta m is equal to theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by ln of theta 1 minus theta 2 provides incorrect information about the mean temperature difference or appropriate temperature difference. So in that case, to correct that information or to correct that particular value, we have to use the correction factor. So the expression theta m is equal to theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by ln of theta 1 divided by theta 2 for LMTD is essentially valid for single pass heat exchanger only. Okay, the analytical treatment of multipass shell and tube heat exchanger and cross flow heat exchangers is much more difficult than single pass case. Such cases may be analyzed by using following equation. So our previous general equation is Q is equal to U multiplied by A multiplied by theta m. So we have to correct this equation in case of multipass arrangement. Okay, so in this case we have to use the equation Q is equal to U multiplied by A multiplied by F multiplied by theta m. Here the F is the correction factor. F is the correction factor. Now from where we should take this correction factor? So for that purpose, the number of charts are provided by Bornemann-Muller and Nagel and by TEMA. So here this TEMA is the Tubular Exchanger Manufacturing Association. This is the worldwide standard used to manufacture any heat exchanger. Okay, so this is the most important association worldwide which provides the guideline to the manufacturer for the manufacturing of a heat exchanger. Okay, now for representation of correction factor, two-dimensional variables are considered, namely temperature ratio, that is denoted as P. Okay, and second one is capacity ratio, denoted as R. So we are going to understand what is meant by temperature ratio and what is meant by capacity ratio. So then temperature ratio. So it is defined as the ratio of the rise in temperature of the cold fluid to the difference in the inlet temperature of the two fluid. So what is meant by rise in temperature of a cold fluid? That is nothing but when the cold fluid passes over the heating surface of a heat exchanger, how much its temperature increases, that is nothing but rise in temperature of a cold fluid. So in case of a heat exchanger, the cold fluid inlet temperature we are considering as a TC1 and cold fluid outlet temperature we are considering as a TC2. So TC2 minus TC1 will be the rise in temperature of a cold fluid. And second thing is the difference in the inlet temperature of the two fluid. Okay, so difference in inlet temperature of a two fluid, that is nothing but hot fluid and cold fluid. So inlet temperature of a hot fluid is TH1 and cold fluid is TC1. So inlet temperature difference should be TH1 minus TC1. So temperature ratio will be the rise in temperature will be the ratio of rise in temperature of a cold fluid to the inlet temperature difference between the two fluid. So TC2 minus TC1 divided by TH1 minus TC1. Now this temperature ratio P indicates cooling or heating effectiveness. It can be vary from 0 to 1. Then next dimensionless term considered to find out the correction factor EF is nothing but capacity ratio. It is defined as the ratio of the products of the mass flow rate times the heat capacity of the fluid is termed as a capacity ratio. So the ratio of heat capacities of two fluid, okay, is called as a capacity ratio. So mass flow rate times heat capacity means product of mass flow rate of a fluid multiplied by specific heat of that particular fluid. Okay, so here capacity ratio is nothing but mass flow rate of cold fluid multiplied by specific heat capacity of a cold fluid whole divided by mass flow rate of hot fluid multiplied by heat capacity of a cold fluid, heat capacity of a hot fluid. Okay, so according to energy balance equation, we know that the heat rejected by hot fluid is equal to heat gain by cold fluid. So we can write the equation for the heat rejected by hot fluid is equal to mass flow rate of a hot fluid multiplied by specific heat of a hot fluid multiplied by loss of the temperature of a hot fluid or change in temperature of a hot fluid, that is TH1 minus TH2 is equal to heat gain by cold fluid can be written as mass flow rate of a cold fluid multiplied by specific heat of a cold fluid into bracket change in temperature or rise in temperature of a cold fluid, that is TC2 minus TC1. So if you arrange this in the format of m dot c, if you shift this m dot h multiplied by cph on this side and TC2 minus TC1 on this side, so we will get the capacity ratio as R is equal to m dot c multiplied by cpc divided by m dot h multiplied by cph, that is nothing but capacity ratio, which is equal to TH1 minus TH2 divided by TC2 minus TC1, where TH1 minus TH2 is nothing but temperature drop of a hot fluid and TC2 minus TC1 is nothing but temperature rise of a cold fluid. So the capacity ratio also can be interpreted as the ratio of temperature drop of hot fluid to the temperature rise of a cold fluid. Okay, so these two non-dimensionless numbers are used to find out the correction factor from the chart. Okay, so next we are going to understand what type of the charts are used to find out the correction factor. So here this is the we can see that the shell and tube heat exchanger is there. Okay, so outer compartment is called as a shell and the inside tube or the flow through tube is called the tube fluid. Okay, so now the cold fluid is entering through the tube and the hot fluid is entering inside the shell. Okay, so hot fluid is a shell fluid and cold fluid is a tube fluid. Okay, So here we can see that the fluid is flowing in this direction first of all in a shell, and then once again it is flowing in a opposite direction. Okay, so this this fluid is flowing 2 times inside the shell. Okay, the fluid is flowing 2 times inside the shell, or we can say that there are 2 passes of tubes inside the shell for the cold fluid. So for that purpose it is 2 passes 1 shell heat exchanger, or 1 shell 2 passes tube heat exchanger, shell and tube heat exchanger. Now in this case we can say that we can select this graph for the selection of correction factor. Now this curvature line represent the temperature ratio, that is nothing but R. Okay, so temperature ratio, sorry, so for the temperature ratio we are considering the P. Okay, so temperature ratio denoted by P, that is on the x-axis. Okay, so it is varying from 0 to 1. Okay, and the curvature lines denotes the capacity ratio, that is nothing but R. Okay, so 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, 1, 1.5, 2, 3, 4. So these are the capacity ratio values. Okay, once we get the capacity ratio and the temperature ratio, so appropriate point we have to select, and we have to match that particular point over here. Okay, capacity ratio point from the x-axis and curvature line from the point on a curvature line related to the capacity ratio we have to select. Then we have to take that point on a y-axis. So on y-axis, whatever the values are provided, that values are related to the correction factor. So we'll get the appropriate value for a correction factor from this particular chart for 1 shell 2 tube pass heat exchanger, or else if there are number of passes in this way, that 1 shell is there and 2, 4 or any multiple passes of tubes are there, in that case also we can use this particular chart. Now the second chart is for 2 shell and 4 passes heat exchanger. Okay, so there are 2 compartments, so these are the 2 shells. Okay, so hot fluid is flowing through this particular compartment and also this particular compartment. Okay, it is entering in another compartment also, and it is flowing in this direction. Now the cold fluid is flowing through the tubes. Okay, now there are 2 passes of tubes in one shell, and there are another 2 passes of a tube in another shell. Okay, so there are 2 shells are there. Okay, and 4 passes of tubes are there. So here we can say that this is the 2 shell 4 tube heat exchanger, or 4 passes heat exchanger. Okay, so in this case we need to consider the different chart to find out the correction factor. So the temperature ratio is on x-axis. Okay, and the curvature lines are showing the capacity ratio. Okay, now whatever the point we are getting related to the temperature ratio, we have to shift that point on a curvature line where we are getting we connect that point to the curvature line, shift that point on a y-axis. Okay, so we will get the appropriate correction factor, and we can easily find out the heat transfer rate. Once we will get the correction factor, heat transfer rate is equal to overall U multiplied by A multiplied by F multiplied by theta. Okay, theta M. So this is the correction factor in and this particular chart is also used for first of all now we are considering the 2 shell passes and uh, 4 tube passes heat exchanger, but it is also used for 2 shell passes and 2 tube passes or 4 tube passes or 8 or any multiple tube passes. Okay, so such a charts are used to find out the correction factor. If any problem related to the correction factor in an examination, then they will provide this particular charts for the understanding purpose, or they will provide direct values of a correction factors. Okay, values of a correction factor, so need not to worry. Next we are going to understand heat exchanger effectiveness and number of transfer unit method, that is nothing but ENTU method to design the heat exchanger or to calculate the parameters related to the heat exchanger. Now up till now we understand the logarithmic mean temperature difference method to do the calculation related to the heat exchanger, but one point is very important in case of LMTD method. LMTD, that is the temperature difference or mean temperature difference given as theta m is equal to theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by ln of theta 1 divided by theta 2. So this is the LMTD general equation, but to calculate the mean temperature difference in case of LMTD method, we need to the initial condition is that we should have all the 4 temperatures, that is nothing but 2 temperatures related to the hot fluid and 2 temperatures related to the cold fluid. But in some cases or in some problems we does not know the inlet temperature or the outlet temperature, any of the inlet temperature or any of the inlet 2 temperatures and any of the inlet to outlet temperatures. Okay, so or any mixing combination also. Okay, so in that case it is very difficult to design the heat exchanger by using the LMTD method. So in that case we should apply the heat exchanger effectiveness and number of transfer unit method. So by using this method, it is very easily we can find out if the temperatures of fluids are unknown, okay, or inlet or outlet temperature conditions are known or does not given in the problem. So then in that case the problem will be solved, or designing of a heat exchanger can be done by using heat exchanger effectiveness and number of transfer unit method. So here the heat exchanger can be designed by LMTD when the inlet and outlet conditions are specified. However, when the problems is to determine the inlet or exit temperature for a particular heat exchanger, the analysis is performed more easily by using a method based on effectiveness of the heat exchanger and number of transfer units, that is nothing but NTU. Now what is meant by heat exchanger effectiveness? So it is defined as ratio of actual heat transfer to the maximum possible heat transfer. So effectiveness is denoted as eta. Okay, so eta is the ratio of actual heat transfer to the maximum heat transfer. So eta can be given as, effectiveness can be given as Q divided by Q max, where Q is the actual heat transfer and Q max is the maximum heat transfer. Then the actual heat transfer rate can be determined from energy balance equation. Normally we are using this particular equation to find out the heat transfer rate. So that energy balance equation gives us a actual heat transfer rate. Okay, so the heat transfer rate we can consider as a Q as actual heat transfer rate is equal to mass flow rate of a hot fluid multiplied by specific heat of a hot fluid into bracket change in temperature of a hot fluid, that is nothing but m dot h multiplied by Cph multiplied by Th1 minus Th2 is equal to heat gain by cold fluid given as m dot c multiplied by Cpc multiplied by Tc2 minus Tc1. Now here we know that the product of mass flow rate and specific heat capacity is defined as fluid capacity rate, that is nothing but C. So product of mass flow rate multiplied by specific heat, that is nothing but fluid capacity rate. If we are considering this for hot fluid, then that will be the fluid capacity rate of or heat capacity of that particular hot fluid. Now if you are considering for the cold fluid, m dot C multiplied by CPC, then that fluid capacity rate for the cold fluid. So it is provided in a statement format here only. Now here we have put up m dot H multiplied by Cph is equal to C suffix H, that is nothing but hot fluid capacity rate, and m dot C multiplied by Cpc is nothing but C suffix C, that is the cold fluid capacity rate. Now out of these two, if you compare the values of C suffix C and C suffix H, if now any one value having the lower value than the another one, okay, so which one is the lower after comparing these two, which one will be lower, that will be considered as a C minimum, okay. So C minimum is the minimum fluid capacity rate, okay, out of CH or CC. Out of these two, any one will be C minimum, then one will be C minimum, another will be C max, okay. So whose value is more, by comparing these two, whose value will be more will be considered as C max. So C max is the maximum fluid capacity rate out of CH or CC, okay. Then the maximum rate of heat transfer for parallel flow or counter flow heat would be occur if the outlet temperature of the fluid with a smaller value of fluid capacity rate CH or CC, that is C minimum, were to be equal to the inlet temperature of the other fluid. So once again we have to understand the maximum rate of heat transfer for a parallel flow or counter flow heat exchanger would occur if the outlet temperature of the fluid with smaller value of fluid capacity rate CH or CC, that is C minimum, were to be equal to the inlet temperature of the other fluid. It means that if you consider any of the fluid is having lower heat capacity rate, that is CH or CC, that particular fluid outlet temperature, if it is equal to the another fluid inlet temperature, then that heat transfer will be considered as a maximum heat transfer. Understand? Outlet temperature of a fluid whose heat capacity rate is smaller, that outlet temperature should be equal to the inlet temperature of another fluid, then that particular heat transfer should be considered as a maximum heat transfer. Now here we are considering that Q max, from the energy balance equation, if you consider Q max, okay, is equal to CH into bracket TH1 minus TC1, okay. Now here we are considering that C suffix H is equal to C minimum, okay. So heat capacity rate of a hot fluid is less than heat capacity rate of a cold fluid. Then in that case we have to consider as a CH is equal to C minimum, okay. So if it is there, then the outlet temperature of a hot fluid, okay, that is nothing but TH2, should be equal to the inlet temperature of a cold fluid. So TH2 is equal to TH1. So same thing in that particular equation, the energy balance equation, heat lost by the hot fluid, we have to consider as Q max is equal to CH into bracket TH1 minus TH2. Here, as we know that if it is equal, here it is equal to the inlet temperature of a cold fluid, okay. So TH2 equal to TC1. So for that purpose, the Q max equation is equal to CH into bracket TH1 minus TC1. Or okay, here we are considering now another consideration, that if the heat capacity rate of cold fluid is less than the heat capacity rate of hot fluid, then we have to consider that Cc is equal to C minimum. Okay, so in that case the maximum heat transfer will be considered, okay, for the cold fluid. Okay, so therefore the outlet temperature of a cold fluid should be equal to the inlet temperature of a hot fluid. So that is nothing but Tc2 should be equal to Th1. So in that case we will get the maximum heat transfer. Okay, Qmax is equal to C suffix C into bracket Th1 minus Tc1. Okay, here in our energy balance equation we have written Tc2 minus Tc1, but to find out the maximum heat transfer rate, Tc2 should be equal to Th1. So here instead of Tc2 we have put up Th1, and the difference will be Th1 minus Tc1. Okay, then the Qmax is equal to, in general we can write Qmax is equal to C minimum into bracket Th1 minus Tc1. Okay, then effectiveness can be given as Ch into bracket Th1 minus Th2 divided by C minimum into bracket Th1 minus Tc1, okay, is equal to Cc into bracket Tc2 minus Tc1 divided by C minimum into bracket Th1 minus Tc1. Once the effective is known, the heat transfer rate can be very easily calculated by using the equation Q is equal to effectiveness multiplied by C minimum into bracket Th1 minus Tc1. You have to remember this equation. In case of effectiveness, heat transfer rate can be calculated by using this particular equation, that is nothing but Q is equal to effectiveness multiplied by C minimum into bracket Th1 minus Tc1. Okay, so here next we are going to understand the effectiveness for the parallel flow heat exchanger. Okay, so this is the last point of this lecture, and this derivation is also important in the sense of our examination. So here we are going to consider the parallel flow heat exchanger arrangement. That is nothing but what the two fluids, hot fluid and cold fluid, are entering from the same direction, okay, and they are flowing in the same direction only, and then they are leaving from the another direction. So if the two fluids are flowing in the same direction, then we are saying that that heat exchanger is a parallel flow type of heat exchanger. Okay, now we have to draw the typical temperature distribution diagram for the parallel flow arrangement. Okay, so once here we are considering on the y-axis temperature distribution, or temperature on y-axis, and on x-axis we are considering the area. Okay, so at the inlet, so this side condition we have put up on this side, temperature condition, and this side condition, temperature condition, we have put up on this side. So as the hot fluid flowing over the heating surface area or through the heat exchanger, its temperature goes on decreasing. Okay, and the cold fluid flows inside the heat exchanger, its temperature goes on increasing in this manner. Okay, so the two curves are related to the change in temperature of hot fluid and cold fluid with respect to area. Now for the analysis purpose, we have considered the small area out of the total area. So dA amount of area we have considered for the analysis purpose, which will start from this point and which will end at this point for the cold fluid, and for the hot fluid it will start from this point and it will end at this point. Okay, so the initial temperature of a hot fluid for this particular area we have to consider as Th, and the initial temperature for the cold fluid for this particular area we have to consider as the T suffix C. So the temperature difference, initial temperature difference, we have to consider as the theta. Okay, Th minus Tc is equal to theta. Okay, and once this fluid flowing over this area, the hot fluid loses its heat to the cold fluid, so that the temperature of a hot fluid will decrease, and that temperature decrease will be the difference of temperature at this point and at this point will be considered as a dT suffix h. So the next is, once the cold fluid will flow over the considered area, its temperature will increase from this point to this point. Okay, so rise in temperature for the cold fluid will be considered as a dT suffix c. Okay, dT suffix c. Now when the fluid is transforming over this particular area, the hot fluid loses its heat to the cold fluid, so that the elemental transfer of heat we have to consider as a dq amount of heat will be transferred from the hot fluid to the cold fluid in this particular area. Okay, now we know that this amount of heat lost by hot fluid and gained by the cold fluid is given as dq is equal to u multiplied by dA multiplied by Th minus Tc, that is nothing but initial temperature difference. So Th minus Tc is nothing but theta. Also we know that by energy balance equation, this heat transfer, elemental heat transfer dq can be given as minus m dot h multiplied by Cph multiplied by dTh, that is the heat lost by the hot fluid, and equal amount of heat will be gained by the cold fluid, that is nothing but m dot c multiplied by Cpc multiplied by dTc. Now here the negative sign is taken for change in temperature. Okay, so the temperature of hot fluid is decreasing in a positive x direction, so the difference, the next term minus next temperature minus previous temperature difference will be negative. So for that purpose here the negative sign is taken over here. So from this particular equation we know that m dot h multiplied by Cph, that is nothing but mass flow rate multiplied by specific heat, that is the heat capacity rate of a hot fluid, and m dot c multiplied by Cpc is equal to c suffix c, that is nothing but mass flow rate of a cold fluid multiplied by specific heat of a cold fluid will give us heat capacity of a cold fluid. Okay, then this equation can be modified as dq is equal to minus c suffix h multiplied by dt suffix h is equal to c suffix c multiplied by dt suffix c. Okay, that will be our second equation. So from equation 2, okay, from this equation we can write the equation for dTh and dTc. So dTh is equal to minus dq divided by c suffix h, and dTc is equal to dq divided by c suffix c. Okay, then if you take the difference of dTh minus dTc, for the sake of interest, dTh minus dTc is equal to minus dq divided by c suffix h and minus dq divided by c suffix c. Okay, so if you rearrange this equation by taking minus dq common from the bracket, so minus the right hand side will be minus dq into bracket 1 upon ch plus 1 upon cc. Okay, we know that the theta is equal to th minus tc. Okay, therefore if you differentiate the theta, then we have to differentiate the right hand side also. So d theta is equal to dt suffix h minus dt suffix c. Okay, so equation 3, in that dt suffix h minus dt suffix c is there, so instead of this we can write d theta. So equation 3 becomes d theta is equal to minus dq into bracket 1 upon ch plus 1 upon c suffix c. Now from equation 1 we know that dq is equal to u multiplied by dA multiplied by into bracket th minus tc. So instead of this dq we are going to put this particular value. So d theta is equal to u multiplied by dA multiplied by th minus tc, bracket complete, in a square bracket 1 divided by ch plus 1 divided by c suffix c. From this equation we know that th minus tc is nothing but theta. So the equation becomes d theta is equal to u multiplied by dA multiplied by theta into bracket 1 divided by ch plus 1 divided by c suffix c. Therefore if you take the theta term on this side, we'll get the equation d theta divided by theta is equal to u multiply by dA multiply by into bracket 1 divided by ch plus 1 divided by c suffix c. Now we have to integrate this particular equation for the over the area at the starting point or at the inlet. Area for the heat exchanger is is 0, and at the end of the heat exchanger the total heat transfer area we need to consider. So for the theta, the integration limits will be theta 1 to theta 2, and for the area the integrations limit will be from 0 to a. Now we have to integrate this particular equation. Integration from 1 to 2, that is theta 1 to theta 2 of d theta divided by theta is equal to u into bracket 1 divided by ch plus 1 divided by c suffix c. This is the constant, so that we have to take this constant out of the integration sign, and integration should be provided only for the dA. So integration of dA with the limits a is equal to 0 to a is equal to a. Now the integration of d theta divided by theta is nothing but ln of theta, and we have to provide its limits. Then integration of a dA is the a, and we have to provide its limits. So here if you put the upper limit and minus if you put the lower limit, then ln of theta 1 theta 2 minus ln of theta 1 we will get. That is nothing but ln of theta 2 divided by theta 1, and the integration of dA is a only. If you put upper limit minus lower limit, then we will get the a only. So ln of theta divided by theta 1 is equal to u multiply by a multiply by into bracket 1 divided by ch plus 1 divided by c suffix c. Here we have to resubstitute the values of theta 1 and theta 2. Okay, so we know that theta 2 is nothing but th2 minus tc2, and theta 1 is nothing but th1 minus tc1. Put these values in this particular equation. So we will get the equation ln of th2 minus tc2 divided by th1 minus tc1 bracket complete is equal to minus u multiply by a into bracket 1 upon ch plus 1 upon cc. So here by mistakenly this sign should be there. So negative sign should be there. Okay, so here I have put once again the negative sign. So minus u multiply by a multiply by into bracket 1 divided by ch plus 1 divided by c suffix c. So if you remove the logarithmic term from this side, and if you transfer that logarithmic term on this side, it will becomes the exponential term. So th2 minus tc2 divided by th1 minus tc1 equal to exponential of bracket minus u multiply by a into bracket 1 upon ch plus 1 upon c suffix c. Okay, so from this particular bracket, okay, from this bracket, if you take the ch common, okay, 1 upon ch common, okay, so the term will be, the exponential term will be minus u multiply by a divided by ch, and into bracket it will be 1 plus. Here from this second term also we have taken 1 upon ch common, so for that purpose we have to multiply ch plus ch divided by c suffix c. That will be our equation number 6. Now as we know that the effectiveness for the heat exchanger is equal to ch multiplied by th1 minus th2 divided by c minimum into bracket th1 minus tc1 equal to cc into bracket tc2 minus tc1 divided by c minimum into bracket th1 minus tc1. So from these two equation for the effectiveness, we can find out the equation for th2 and tc2. Okay, so from these first two terms we can say that, so if you shift this denominator on this side, so and divided by ch, then the th2 becomes th2 is equal to th1 minus effectiveness multiplied by c minimum into bracket th1 minus tc1 whole divided by CH. That will be the equation for the TH2. And TC2, same manner, if you take effectiveness is equal to CC into bracket TC2 minus TC1 divided by C minimum into bracket TH1 minus TC1. From this equation, if you shift the C minimum denominator on this side, it will be multiplied with the effectiveness, and if you shift this CC on this side, it will be divided to the effectiveness. And if you want to find out this particular value in the form of TC2, then TC2 is equal to, okay, TC2 is equal to TC1 plus effectiveness into multiplied by C minimum into TH1 minus TC1 whole divided by C suffix C. Okay, now we have to put up these two values or two equations of TH2 and TC2 instead of this. We have to put up these two values of TH2 and TC2 in this particular equation, in equation number 6. Okay, so put TH2 and TC2 values in equation 6, then the numerator will be changed, denominator we have taken common, okay, that is nothing but 1 divided by TH1 minus TC1. So in the numerator it will becomes TH1 minus eta or effectiveness multiplied by C minimum multiplied by TH1 minus TC1 divided by CH minus TC1 minus effectiveness multiplied by C minimum into bracket TH1 minus TC1 bracket complete divided by C suffix C equal to exponential of minus U multiplied by A divided by CH into bracket 1 plus C suffix H divided by C suffix C. Okay, so now this TH1 minus TC1 term we are combined over here, so it will becomes into bracket in a bracket TH1 minus TC1. Okay, then from remaining two terms, okay, this term and this term, we have taken common as eta C minimum multiplied by TH1 minus TC1. Okay, from these two terms eta C minimum TH1 minus TC1, and from this term also eta C minimum TH1 minus TC1 we have taken common. So into bracket what will remain? 1 upon CH and 1 upon CC. So minus sign if you take common, so in a bracket it will remain as 1 upon CH plus 1 upon C suffix C. Okay, so now the equal to term as it is exponential into bracket minus U multiplied by A divided by CH into bracket 1 plus CH divided by C suffix C. Now from the left side we know that we can take TH1 minus TC1 common from these two terms, and it will be vanished as the denominator of the term is TH1 minus TC1. So TH1 minus TC1 and TH1 minus TC1 from these two terms will be cancelled. So equation becomes 1 minus effectiveness multiplied by C minimum into bracket 1 divided by CH plus 1 divided by C suffix C equal to exponential into bracket minus U multiplied by A divided by CH into bracket 1 plus CH divided by C suffix C. Now we can rearrange the equation in the form of a effectiveness. Okay, so 1 will be shifted on this side, so it will be minus 1 plus plus exponential term, and if you shift this negative sign on this side, it will be plus 1 minus exponential term. So the effectiveness becomes effectiveness for the heat exchanger is equal to 1 minus exponential into bracket minus U multiplied by A divided by CH into bracket 1 plus CH divided by C suffix C bracket complete, the square bracket will be complete, divided by C minimum into bracket 1 divided by CH plus 1 divided by CC. So this will be considered as a general equation. Now here we are going to consider that if CC or the specific heat or the heat capacity of a cold fluid is greater than the heat capacity of a hot fluid, then we have to consider the C minimum is equal to CH and C max is equal to C suffix C. Hence the equations become, okay, so C minimum is CH and C max is equal to CC. Then equation becomes effectiveness is equal to 1 minus exponential into bracket minus u multiply by a. Instead of ch, here I am putting c minimum, okay, because of our consideration, into bracket 1 plus ch is c minimum, so c minimum divided by cc is c max, so c max, so bracket will be complete, whole divided by. Now the c minimum as it is outside the bracket, into bracket 1 upon ch, that is nothing but once again c minimum, 1 divided by c minimum, so c minimum divided by c minimum will be 1 only, so that's why here 1 plus, okay. Now if you multiply c minimum to this particular term, so cc as it is a c max, so the value the term becomes c minimum divided by c max, so that the denominator will be 1 plus c minimum divided by c max, okay. Now if the next consideration, that if you consider the cc is less than ch, then c minimum is equal to cc and c max is equal to ch, okay. Then the equation 9, okay, our equation 9, so here we have considered that ch is c max and cc is c minimum, okay. So if you put the desired consideration in this equation, then equation becomes eta is equal to 1 minus exponential into bracket minus into bracket u multiply by a divided by c max into bracket 1 plus c max divided by c minimum, divided by whole divided by 1 plus c minimum divided by c max, okay, as it is, because we have taken the c minimum. If you multiply inside the bracket, then it will be once again 1 plus c minimum divided by c max in the denominator. So exponential effectiveness will be once again we will get the same equation. If you multiply if you say that if you multiply 1 upon c max inside the bracket, so it will become 1 upon c max plus 1 divided by c minimum, and if you take the c minimum 1 upon c minimum outside the bracket, then we will get the same term only, okay. So effectiveness is equal to 1 minus exponential into bracket minus u multiply by a divided by c minimum into bracket 1 plus c minimum divided by c max, bracket complete, square bracket complete, whole divided by c minimum divided by c max, okay. So here we have to consider these points where c minimum and c max represent the smaller and larger of the two heat capacitors, that is cc and ch. Then the grouping of the term, okay, this is the important term, the grouping of the term u multiply by a divided by c minimum, okay. The term u multiply by a divided by c minimum is dimensionless expression called the number of transfer units, okay. U multiply by a u multiply by a divided by c minimum is called as a number of transfer units, that is nothing but NTU. NTU is a measure of effectiveness of the heat exchanger. Then second dimensionless term is formed inside this particular equation is c minimum divided by c max is the second dimensionless parameter and is called as a capacity ratio, that is nothing but R. The last dimensionless parameter is flow arrangement, that is parallel flow or counter flow or a cross flow arrangement. The effectiveness of a parallel flow heat exchanger is given as, in general, the effectiveness for a parallel flow is given as effectiveness is equal to 1 minus exponential into bracket minus NTU, because u multiply by a divided by c minimum is nothing but NTU, that is number of transfer unit. So exponential into bracket minus NTU into bracket 1 plus c minimum divided by c max, bracket complete, square bracket complete, whole divided by 1 plus c minimum divided by c max. Now we know that c minimum divided by c max, here also c minimum divided by c max is nothing but capacity ratio, that is nothing but R. So instead of c minimum divided by c max, we can write the R also. So or we can write this equation as exponential effectiveness is equal to 1 minus exponential into bracket minus NTU into bracket 1 plus R, bracket complete, square bracket complete, whole divided by 1 plus r. So this is the effectiveness for the parallel flow. In the next lecture, we are going to understand the effectiveness for the counter flow. Okay, thank you.